Back to our council meeting. We have 2 items left, minor but very important items. So we'll kick off with you, Councillor Van Beek, on kindness.
Yeah. I'll see if I can hold it together. Some people might think I'm a tough nut, but I'm actually quite an emotional person. So it's about our council, and over the last 3 years, 6 years, because I may not be back, I thought I'd share this with you. I think it's important, we as a council, that we're actually dealing with ratepayers that actually got their livelihoods often very much tied to what we do as council. So I think we as a council, I think it's very important that we need to continue to think about our ratepayers, those who've been in the flood and they've had some tough times. And I think at times we just need to think about, we've got policy that we need to stick to, but at the same time we also need to take the human kindness into consideration as well.
And a little aroha goes a long way, you're right.
Exactly, and we have found that just now with the Cape Coast community, and I think Hastings Council and Hawkesbury Council did a fantastic job in actually trying to make some more friends rather than enemies. And I think, Nick, thank you very much for the work that you've done. It's really much appreciated. I've been a bit critical since the cyclone, but I think that was really well done. And you too, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Well done. Oh, well, we come to another emotional part of our last meeting. So we have some councillors, thank you, who would like to say some fine and kind words and tributes to those who are leaving, who have decided not to come back. And you will be so well missed. But I just want to provide aroha and a mihi to all of you. Thank you for your contribution as a team. It's been a pleasure working with you, and so very proud of you as a council and council, our kaimahi in the organisation. So I'd like to also acknowledge you, Mike Paku, in the role that you've played as an advisor, a trusting hand, and always wise words at the end that bring us back to reality often. And also to Tanya Hotmans for the role that she plays as RPC co-chair, who couldn't be with us. She sends her apologies. I hope you both are back and you're on a different cycle to us, so we look forward to seeing you both in the new term. I'd also like to acknowledge Stephanie Malloy, who will not continue with us as the Independent Audit and Risk Chair, and she sends her thanks to us as a council, but that she has other adventures to go on. So we acknowledge her in the role she played for the council. We move on to our 3 deciding leaders who have been critical to our team. I'd like to thank you, Martin. I know you've given your speech, but all I can say is you're a brilliant friend, a brilliant colleague with a brilliant mind, so much to say that I think you'd like to write half the papers and present half the presentations because, you're brilliant at what you do with a huge heart. So big aroha to you, thank you. So I will move on to my Deputy Chair, Councillor Foley. Thank you so much for your support. It's been a tough 3 years, I know, but you've been there right behind me, so I thank you very much. And I think which of our councillors would like to share a bit of a tribute? I've got some words together. Councillor Van Beek.
Well, that honour has fallen on me. And he often gives me a hard time because I try to make it light-hearted fun, and that goes amiss with him. But anyway, the first time I met Will Foley was on a water symposium at the Peak Church that Ngāti Kananuni had organised, and the chair of the president of East Coast Farmers was going to speak, and I see him walking in, Will Foley, and he's got this tile with him. And I think, oh man, he's got me beat, that because we were on the same panel and we were speaking after each other. And I thought, man, that's he's just got this all sorted, he's got everybody around his little finger. Anyway, we're starting our speeches and Will started, and instead of actually being a tile, it actually was a recycled plastic fence post for an electric fence so he could keep his stock out of his water. So here I'm thinking that he has got his tile with him, but it actually was his electric fence post that he's got him with him. Anyway, then we meet again around this table. And what we really impressed with you, Will, was that he came here, the reason that Will came, and anyway, you may still remember, so does Martin, it was his son Charlie that actually made him decide to come to this council. Archie, sorry. And so, because Will felt that being a councillor, it was important for him to be able to make a change in the way we farm and the way we operate, and to actually be kinder to the environment and the community. And as a regenerative farmer, and he showed us one of the videos, and it was about leaching of water, when you have ground cover, when you don't have ground cover. And he really inspired me. And I thought, if I was a farmer, that's exactly what I would want to do, you know. And it was amazing, eye-opening for me. Will, we have given him a middle name, Will Gravel Foley, but Will is so much more than just gravel. I think you've done an amazing job for your community on the gravel front, but Will was far more than gravel. Will was about core business, and I think he didn't need a cyclone for us as a council to come back to core business. He already had that written on his heart and on his mind, and he always came back to what is most important, what are we here for, and also listen to the community. And Will had a very good, very strong ear. Future Farming Trust was an important journey that he had, and done a lot of work and good work that we can build on going forward. So really thankful for that. And most of all, you'll be missed around this table, especially as a mate. Can't poke the beer at you anymore because you'll be gone. So once again, thanks, Will, for the last 6 years, and it's been a lot of fun. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Wise words. I'll hand it over to you, Deputy Chair.
Oh, geez, I thought that was my speech. Look, that was a bit unexpected, so thank you, Councillor Van Beek. Yeah, I really didn't expect that, but very kind of you to sum up a lot of what the last 6 years has been. I can't believe it's been 6 years. 6 years ago, a lot of us here today were newbies, and it was a very warm welcome into this environment. I'll never forget it. It was almost like a first day at school again, and I remember that video because if you remember our first induction workshop, and the staff had a whole day planned, and the chair at the time, which was, I'll never forget that either, and he said, everyone just stand down, the councillors here are the most important people, and we want to hear from each and every one of them. And that's when I got to start to tell you all some of my story, and while I was here. So, look, I'm just so thankful and grateful to the people of Central Hawke's Bay that put their trust and faith in me to sit here not once but twice. And I've loved, serving them, representing them, but also, as we all know, once we're around this table, all of Hawke's Bay. It's been a real pleasure. And look, you reminded me, Councillor Van Beek, about the droughts, and a big part of my life before Regional Council was actually Regional Council, and it was the Ruataniwha Dam project. And so a big part of my standing was the droughts that I'd farmed through, and water security, and what were we going to do about it. And, we'd only been in the role a month or two, and here we were in another drought. Mm-hmm. But funnily enough, the people at Central Hawke's Bay actually taught me something that I wasn't quite prepared for when I first entered, and that was the value of river maintenance and the resilience that provides our communities. And they're still teaching me that to this day, and hence why you've heard me speak a lot of what I've spoken. And when I was coming to council for the first time, and a good mentor down there, previous councillor, said to me, he said, if you ever get in a tough spot, you're not quite sure what to say, just remember the people that put you there, and that will help. And it truly does, and it truly did. So so we did have a great time those first 3 years. What I remember about that is we used to have some good debates, some good discussions, and from that first point where we were all allowed to speak, our opinions were respected. And I remember quite often we would have some disagreements, but what I like after those first 3 years is probably the people I disagreed with the most, I will call lifelong friends, and so it was a great experience. To the second term, look, well done, Hinawai. What a tough 3 years to step into that role, and it wasn't going to be easy for anyone. And so just well done for what you've had to do, had to achieve, and we've all come out the other side. So look, it's had its ups and downs, and but yeah, we all got through it. So well done. To the incoming council, look, I wish everyone the best of luck. If there's one thing I'd want to say, it's get up to speed with the efficiency and effectiveness review. Understand that our ratepayers have got nothing more to give. This organisation can't keep doing more, keep adding more. We have to learn where to draw the line. We have to learn what our priorities are. And I think, the cyclone has certainly taught us a lot of that. To all the staff, look, too many to mention, but I will mention our CEs, James Palmer, Petty Munro, Bill Bayfield, and Nick Peat. Thank you, Nick, for taking on this role, because I know others probably would have turned the opposite direction, but, you came at a time when things were tough, and, good luck with your next term. And to all the other staff, I feel like I probably took up, my fair share of time with my constituent queries and issues, but they always responded and always gave me some good feedback and some good responses, and we did achieve a lot. And I will say it was pretty impressive to see the assets management team get clapped on the gravel extraction a couple of weeks ago. And just to my family at home, to Abby, Archie and Teddy, to Harry over in London, to Ollie up in Auckland, thank you for your support, and particularly the encouragement and the faith to keep going with, whatever our next move is. So, look, thank you to everyone, and good luck with to the regional council and into the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Foley, and good luck with your new journey. We'll be watching closely. Our next councillor, Councillor Lambert, he's also started with us in 2019. Always a huge supporter of our Māori committee and the discussions around the Māori committee table. Been through Coastal Hazards Committee, Transport Committee, and I always recall whenever I ask you to say something, you say something absolutely brilliant. So it's always great to hear from you, Charlie, and your next journey. And I wonder how you get into women's health and all these trips overseas. I don't know if you're going to expand that pathway, but you've been a trusted colleague, a wise head also, and you're going to be missed dearly. So, Councillor Rodley, would you like to say a few words, and possibly Councillor Hokianga as our other Māori constituency member? Kia ora, Di.
Kia ora, Chair. Thank you, Charlie. It's my pleasure to acknowledge all your mahi at this tipu over the past 6 years, and obviously I've only known you for the most recent 3 years. You've been really helpful, particularly when I first came into office here, and you were certainly the person who helped unpack a whole lot of stuff as in what even happens in here. So thank you very much for that. You've always been very grounded and very mindful, and I always knew that I can get a little bit excited about things, but you have a great way of bringing the reality of how things work, but also bringing that real people at place perspective. So I appreciate that. Obviously, you bring the mātauranga Māori aspect to our mighty Wairoa, both at this table, but also in the work that we do across the whole constituency. What fun times ahead? Who knows what they'll be? More time with whānau, hopefully. I hear you've got a lot of work to do with the Māori Pahuera. So looking forward to seeing you in these spaces and continuing your leadership. You're very valued, and go well, my friend.
I'll be the one at the back of the room.
Councillor Hokianga.
Thanks, Chair. Kai te tuakana Charlie. Ono ho mai koe I roto I tō motuhakeatanga ki tēnei tēpu ko tō pāhauweratanga me ngā manaakitanga o te takiwā o te Wairoa. Piko hia nei e koe I ngā moemoea o rātau o roto mai o te Waikare moana ki reira tō whakapapa kia whakapapa atu ki te reina kia kaue atu nei. Nō reira, e te tuakana, tēnei au ka mihira ki a koe nā tō aroha ki tō iwi, ki tō hāpori o te Wairoa. Aha koa, a piki me ngā heke I te huripari o kapireira, I reira koe e tuku atu I tō katoa. Aha koa e tahi wā ka tau patu, tau kume ai, tō hāpori, tō iwi, o hapu katoa, I reira tonu koe e korowaitia I a rātau hei painga mō ngā tamariki mokopuna mo tō hapu. So I just want to acknowledge your tuakana status to the Teina that entered into Regional Council 3 years ago. Your advice and guidance in particular with our with Poranga Hau, with Tamatea of the North, the Wairoa community. And I think if Wairoa got to hear the outward expression of aroha that you have for the Wairoa community that you've shared at the table and in person, I think they'd be absolutely 100% proud of you. And I think it's important to recognise not just your whakapapa, but the skill that you are able to share and give practical expression to. And as Henewai said, you know, however did you get into the space of women's health?
I'm still amazed, Charlie.
And I would, some of the conversations, in particular, the deep dive into wānanga spaces, and I'd often wonder how the conversation had anything relating to our regional council business or our hapu and our mana whenua business. But you're absolutely right, it's about our tamariki, our mokopuna, and about a healthy mum means healthy baby. A healthy baby translates to a healthy future. Every child is born with magic. It's what we do with that child that makes all the difference in the world. And so I might reflect on two important items of Ngāti Pāhauera, and one of those is obviously the Hangi Stone, and the Hangi Stone that has warmed the homes and warmed the bellies of many people throughout Aotearoa and the world, because you've taken those out to the world as well. But also the Reti board that gives you the Reti board, and those that don't know much about the Reti board, there's a video circulating around on Facebook at the moment, and the Reti board is something that's really special to Ngāti Pahauera, and I don't think any other culture around the world utilises the Reti board, and so it's unique to Ngāti Pahauera, and I think you've definitely brought that Ngāti Pahauera uniqueness, if not to the table, then to your advice and guidance to me. And I'm able to share that in the Southern Māori Ward constituency, Māui ki te tonga. So, kei te tuakana, anika rā te mihi ki a koe. Tēnā tātou.
Kia ora. Watu te raka ki a koe, Charlie.
Oh, I can't buy. Oh, well, kia ora koutou, kōrero. Heoi, mai hara tēnei te tūkana. Hoki te mahara ki te wā o te Māori Committee, kei reira ki te tūkana. O Mike Mohi hoki, Āmi, Mārei, e kia o ngaru hoki, e tahi o rātau, pāpera Fred, Roberts, Roy Meihana, Bill Blake, Leta Wairo, tātou kunei mai te Wairoa, Tipu, Tipu Pareha, Tahi anō, nā makawiri ki te reo Pākehā Prea. So I think I need to acknowledge early beginnings, and that's with the Māori Committee quite a number of years ago, and I think I was actually responsible for nominating Mike Mohi to be the chair of the committee, because he hustled us, myself and Valetta, while everyone else was out of the room. He goes, "Hey, Wairo, I'm from there too. I come from Frasertown, so we're going to elect the chair, so you two should nominate me." And he's been here ever since. And it was, we had a pretty lively time, and it was, I think about that time too, it's like, actually, maybe I need to be a councillor. And it's when you work out, what do I need to do to get in there? And it's, well, I had a look at my history first, and my great-grandfather was a councillor for a few years in Wairoa, and before that, my great-great-grandfather was on the first provincial committee. So it's like, what the hell? They can do it, anyone can do it. So, and was really, I thought I'd better try in Wairoa first. It wasn't as game as you die, jumped straight into the regional conferencing. So I did apply for the Wairoa District Council, and that was pretty cool. I enjoyed that. Again, there's a lot of good people there, but I really did feel like I wanted to be in the regional council, because when you live out in the country, you've got other things to worry about instead of footpaths and sewage. But in saying that, Wairoa was a good grounding. And they went to wards straight after that themselves, to Māori wards, and it was like, to my mind, Wairoa is probably the only one who doesn't need Māori wards. In fact, although it's a good thing they have wards, because it allows the non-Māori to get elected into the council. If they really had their mind, there wouldn't be any. But hey, that's Wairoa. In fact, I was when I wanted to hop into the regional council, it's like, well, I went to see Ngāhiwi anyway. For the first time, he says, he even sort of more or less said, try the district council first. So then he goes, what's your plan? And it's like, I never had a plan. He said, I know. He goes, I know, you're going to go to the community hall, have the council thing, and that's it. And he looked around the room, there's a lot of us here too. He said, if that's your plan, you might as well go home now. There's like, that was pretty much my plan. But he said, if you're really serious, come back on Monday, and we'll do this, that. You have to come up with some sound bites, come up with proposals. While you're away on the weekend, have parties with babies and parents and all that sort of stuff. So it really made me think, and it's like, well, it's time to get serious. Either I want it or I don't. So I did. I shot rock back up to Ngāhiwi, and him and the team were pretty helpful, actually. And they did a lot of things, like hey, make sure you get your flyers out there and when the bloody voting forms arrive in the mail, all that sort of stuff. So that was really, really helpful. And we did all that, and we were really lucky to get in. And I must admit that the person before me, Mr. Fenton Wilson, who was the chair of the Hawke's Bay Regional Council at the time. So, yeah. And I remember he's had a couple of terms, he's had 3. I was like, wow, kapai. Yeah, see you, Fenton? He was pretty good about it. He goes, oh, well, I better find something else to do. And he rocked on back to his job and did what he was going to do anyway. So, and even today, yeah, he thanks me for putting him out of here. I said, whatever, you're not really I saw him the other day, but he's got a smile on his face. He's keeping busy. So, yeah, the competition wasn't really, when you get in, it's not actually a competition because you don't actually see the stuff people missing out who don't get in. So you guys who are still coming back, yeah, good luck. Yeah, there was a few of the other councils didn't quite make it back, eh? All the ones from Hastings, I might add. Got put out. So it was really, yeah, it's really good to be here with the crew rock back from Napier. Well done. Yeah, and little Hastings rural down the end there. So yeah, swings and roundabouts, I guess. For me, it's time to move on. I've had a neat weekend last weekend. Had all these kids. There's like 12 of them at home. Holy heck! And bloody hectic. I keep running back to my room to have a little rest and hide away. Lock the door. But it was really neat. We had a good time. We played and talked, and they asked questions. And it's then I got calls from the Women's Health Ministry. We'll be having dinner with the Governors General next week. Yeah, it's a hard life, but someone's got to.
Now you're showing off. Now you're showing off.
You're going to talk to you about women's health. Yes.
Yeah, and because I know nothing about women's health, absolutely nothing. But we had this group come up to Mohaka a couple of years ago. Oh no, a couple of weeks ago, and they wanted to talk about women's health. It's holy heck it all. It's a disease, but. They were talking about the use of birthing whare and things, because no one had them. They were mainly temporary things when women had their babies and they were taken down, dismantled or whatever. But actually we had a permanent one up in Mohaka, and I wanted to learn about it. It was pretty amazing. And I realised, again, I was the only one who had quite a lot about it at the time, sitting in Mohaka, so I talked to them. And then you realise that, although we live in the middle of nowhere, we actually have a really neat history. There's a lot of things of value. I couldn't get over it because they go, we never had anything like that. There's nothing to base a relationship with what we do today and what they ever did yesterday. They never had a clue. They did have a clue, they had an idea, but they never saw anything concrete. And we looked at our history, and we actually have a lot of good things, like the Reti board. It's amazing. Like the Hangi stones. And yeah, to us, those are really tangible, real things that you can touch and pass on, I guess. So what I want to do is, I'm go back and do my other job, which is working for our community, really. Both in Wairoa and out at Pahawera, and with Women's Health down in Wellington. It's, to be honest, Pahawera, we invited them in. In fact, they come to see Pahawera to make a deal if they can do research in the Wairoa district. Because at that time, Wairoa had the worst health statistics in the country. And for us, it was like, well, we really want the whole whānau looked at, but if you can work with your mama and pepe, then you're working with the whole family anyway. And at the time, I was actually become a councillor with the Wairoa District Council. I got off the Pahawera Trust, so Tora goes, oh, you got nothing better to do, can you go and liaise with this group? on our behalf. I said, oh, okay. And after about 6 or 12 months on a research project, they said, we might as well put you on the payroll, Charlie. So they have. And it's been really great because they do get into the whole family. And they ask all the, and we get to own the data. Go to the District Health Board earlier, they did all the research. They researched everything. No one else did it. And so they owned all the data. They said, no, data tells us this, that, and the other. When we had our first report back from the Women's Health, Centre for Women's Health Research, they had all these points that needed to be fixed up, and the District Health Board listened, and they changed contracts for young mamas and puppies in the Wairau district. That was a big one, so that was cool. And they've been doing that ever since. They're doing cervical cancer. We're part of a worldwide group to eliminate cervical cancer in every country. It's doable. Hey, within 10 years or 5 years, it should be gone from New Zealand, but government needs to make different choices. Australia's probably going to be the lead for everybody. It's amazing. And what we were doing methamphetamine as well in the families. So there's some really serious things that are affecting our people now. So we're sort of going to go back to that. So, but I've had a book. Really thanks to everybody. Guys, she's had a really good experience with, well, not a good experience, but Ruaki Churi got hit really hard the other year, eh? And I was really quite prominent in helping the old community get back together. As long as that, all the rest of the community is safe. So, yeah, there were droughts going on. When I come into council, they were making that big push for climate change and acknowledgement. In fact, we had a climate ambassador. Country was making all these targets for predator-free New Zealand, zero carbon emissions, but that all got turned into with COVID. And I think the good thing about I remember from COVID is that the whole world stopped, and then nature kept going. It took a big breath, and we realised that. Well, it didn't take. You don't have to be a scientist to realise that we must have been the problem. We stopped moving around and stayed home, and the environment took off. That was amazing. Didn't do good for a farmer that worked, of course. It hit our community economically and in a big way. So, and that didn't make it easier with the next term. We had those Cyclone Gabriel. So I hope the families are still obviously coming back from that economically, and we've actually learnt to either, there's some things we need to do irrespective of how much damage it might do right now, but the reality is people need to get back on their feet and get back into the workforce, get back onto an economic base where they can live. And they can't always do that without. Can't make an omelette without breaking an egg, I suppose. So I appreciate the turn that our council has made from where we were going before to doing what we have to do right now. And I think I appreciate the staff too. They really adapted in a big way and just got on with it. Because as you say, you can see our spending has gone from the normal annual natural disasters to, everything that can possibly happen has happened. And the staff have picked up, the government's come on board. I'm amazed with that too. They come on board in a big way. So the staff have some resources to work with and get things done. So I'm actually pleased everybody gets up in arms about our governments and things, but at the end of the day, they probably want the same things as everybody else, especially in a disaster situation. And they come to the party, so that's pretty cool. So, guys, I really enjoyed being here, but I do have other things to do. I've got to go and watch the grass grow, watch the kids grow, and watch our community grow. And if I see you again, cool. But yeah, I'll be at the back of the room instead of the front of the room. And I think that first thing I'm doing is might go for a little roadie down south in another 2 weeks. Go and see a lot of old mates. And then maybe come back after a couple of weeks' time. Yeah, no, it should be. I'm looking forward to not staying home, but doing other things. Yeah. One thing I did enjoy in the last couple of weeks was the Ross Shield. It was like I'm back big in the community again, going watching kids play rugby, helping them get organised to start with, and just seeing all the relationships going on between Hawke's Bay people. That was really cool. Irrespective of whether they come from Dannevirke or Hastings West or East or whatever, they all had a really great time. And yeah, it didn't show me what I was missing, but it did show me that I mightn't have made it if I would have had to come to this meeting, but I was really tied up. So yeah, thanks for everything, Hiniwai.
Charlie.
Yep, I agree with Will. You've been a great chair, and I think it's a bit of an anomaly us two getting in, and then having to go for Māori Wars. And I can see that how sceptical people would be, but I do appreciate the reports that are going out now, and it does show that Māori have a good input. For us in Mohaka, we realised that we're going to be there for the next few hundred years. So we were the biggest landowner once, and we're probably going to be again, and because we are staying there. A lot of people are not. They're coming and going, but we're sort of going to give it our best shot to stay. That's what we're going to do too. Cool. I'm not singing the songs. I know Hiniwai will sing one later on.
Kia ora, kia ora. We will sing a waiata
Yeah.
together at the end. Kia ora, Charlie.
Thanks, guys. It's been a ball.
Kia ora, ngā mihi. Councillor Harding. Kia ora. I think of you as this operational superhero that transformed into like a Superman governor this term. You took on some big roles during the term and really stepped up for council. You became the chair of Corporate and Strategic and the Joint Climate Action Committee. We know all the challenges that went on with that and trying to get a regional approach to climate action. So hugely valued your contribution, your leadership, and it's been a pleasure to work with you. Big mihi to you. Kia ora. And Jock, would you like to say some more?
Yes, look, I'd like to add to that. Thanks, Chair. I can reflect back 3 years ago, Zan, when we were, on the hustings and all that sort of thing, and I didn't know you, but I saw some of your stuff and talked about knowing a lot about water, more about water maybe than anyone else, and I thought, I recognise that bollocks when I see it. And however, we weren't long on the council, and in respect to your commentary about your knowledge of water, it quickly became apparent that it was true. You did know more. You know a heap about it. In fact, you're an oracle on that subject. And it's indicative of the quality of your input really throughout the time you've been here. You're the sort of guy who asks the questions that I thought, I wish I was brainy enough to ask that question. And you've always had an extremely thorough grasp of the subjects that we've been covering, and that's because you've been extraordinarily diligent in the extent to which you've gone into things. In one sense, I suppose you're a rival to myself and Sophie being the other elected representative for Here Tonga, but I've never thought of it like that, and I don't think any of us have. And I feel that's that's a really big mark of respect that you've never felt like a rival. I've never got any sense of politics entering your judgment. I've felt it's always been of the highest standard. I think your integrity throughout the process has been outstanding too. So. You're going to be a massive, massive loss to the council, mate. I wish you were not standing. You've added huge value, and you've done it particularly if I think back earlier in the year, when, you know, you've had massive personal challenges yourself. You lost your sister earlier in the year. I know she was a big part of the Harding whānau, and the quality of your input remained outstanding throughout what was an extraordinarily difficult period. So I did want to acknowledge that too. And so you've been a great colleague. I'm sorry you're not standing again, and I wish you all the very best, mate.
Thank you for that, Jock. Definitely wasn't expected. Thank you, Haniwai, as well. Look, probably what I'll treasure most from that comment, Jock, is the acknowledgement of the teamwork and this, I think, mutual support we had, and kia ora Sophie as well, in Hastings. I deeply value that, and both of you and everyone around the table. And the collegiality of that, and largely the lack of politicking. So it's pretty extraordinary. You learn something every day in this job, and the thing that I've learned today is that your leaving speech is proportional to the amount of time that you spent in local government. I think,
Been here for a while.
Charlie's earned that.
he was
Charlie's
able to
earned
count
that.
his time in Wairoa as well. So,
I mean, he had to represent Wairoa on the Māori committee as well, so that's 3 shares.
so mine's going to be a bit more efficient, but there is I'm a bit of a planner, and I do like to be clear about the messages I give. Sometimes it's not very efficient, but I'll try to be efficient today. So I've got some notes. Look, it's been a great privilege to work in the council, and I say in the council, I don't make a big differentiation between being staff and being a councillor in terms of the roles are different, but the effort is equal. And I've had the benefit and the honour of working on both sides. Firstly, for 2 years is helping out catchment groups get established, and in 3 years with you fellas. Some would say it's madness to resign from your day job and spend $20,000 trying to win back 60% of that salary you had. Well, others would say it's madness to try and do it again. So maybe I'm just a slow learner, but I've got there. But look, at the time I ran for council really for 2 reasons. One of them was climate change, and the other was water. And particularly, and I will say that at the time, and it's only 3 years ago, but it's 3 years in a multi-crisis that was Cyclone Gabriel. But running on, and I got a bit of advice, and running on a climate change ticket essentially was a risk. And having a bilingual Māori and English tagline was an even bigger risk. You know, between those two, there was no show of getting in. But anyway, I probably knocked on enough doors and got over the line. But it was about climate change and water, and that's really what I'm still about. But within 4 months of being sworn in, Cyclone Gabriel arrived and endorsed all that I and we stand for. There's nothing more climate and water than a cyclone, as we were all brutally reminded. That cyclone's had perverse impacts on our climate response, unfortunately. On the one hand, it helped tip the balance of the community discourse strongly towards acceptance of human-endorsed climate warming. On the other hand, it signalled the end of any meaningful response in Hawke's Bay towards mitigation. And all of a sudden, we're firmly in the adaptation space in a very energised way, but certainly a very focused way. And probably there is one good thing that came out of, actually there's a few good things that came out of the cyclone. One of them, the standout for me was community groups and the way, and both local, community groups as well as marae groups, and the way they stepped up and were our response, really. And some other second thing that I've just forgotten. But the end result of that is we're firmly in the adaptation space. And my regret there is that that result of that is that we do things like building expressways now rather than provide bus services, which could stand the community in so much greater stead and actually be responding to the climate crisis. But disruption always brings opportunity, and in my case, it was the opportunity to take over from you, Hanawai, and thank you for your trust as leader of, or as chair of the Regional Climate Joint Action Committee. I'd just like to say, I mean, I aspired to lead that jointly with Councillor Hayley Brown from Napier City Council. It wasn't technically possible legally, so we didn't go down that track, but I did try to work closely with her. She's not here today. I hope she is around this table week's time. I wish her all the best. Great human. Hope she gets over the line. But anyway, that was a great honour. And this a new committee, so there was a lot of forming and storming before we got to any norming. But navigating the release of the region's first ever climate risk assessment against the backdrop of post-cyclone hypersensitivity will go down as singularly the most complicated political undertaking of my career to date. The cyclone and further flooding in Wairau eroded institutions as surely as stop banks. This council's withdrawal from funding tourism on behalf of the region created a cascade of events amongst response from the other TLAs, and part of that response was, or there was a partial factor in Wairau and Napier City defunding that committee. Recent pronouncements by some mayoral aspirants indicate that it's unlikely that the new trimester will see it resurrected. It'll be a loss to the region, but I trust and I know that this organisation will continue its climate function, and cooperation on climate action will carry on at a staff level across councils. My esteemed colleague, Councillor Williams, on the big screen there in Doha, you recently rattled off an extensive list of stuff that this council managed to get done despite the cyclone over the last 3 years. I thank you for that and all the efforts that you brought to that and for compiling that list. It was extensive. I won't try and repeat any of that, but I will echo your call for local government amalgamation. In my opinion, amalgamation plus regulatory reform is the only enduring way to cap rates increases, whilst continuing to deliver the range of locally based services this community needs. But for me, now I'm off on a brand new journey, exploring commercial and technical feasibility for building water storage for the Hiratonga Plains on behalf of representing commercial water users. I suspect, if not know, that that's going to be even more challenging than that, releasing that climate risk assessment. And both are inextricably linked when you think about it. Thank you hugely to all my councillor colleagues, those on screen and not with us. As I said before, I really deeply appreciate the range of perspectives that you bring and the way that you bring them, and how collegial we've been able to operate and non-partisan, but still having healthy debate and differences. So I think that's been remarkable. Thank you. Most of all, thanks to the staff. You who do the real work.
Yes.
Not us. So we just stand in front of the camera occasionally. Yep, your efforts make this organisation. Kia kaha, kia manamonui, kia ora tātou.
Kia ora. Kia ora, Councillor Harding. Oh, so well said by everyone. Ka kite, Martin, it looks like you should turn that off. Ka kite. All the evidence is on here, so come on. Wai. Kia ora. Oh, well done, everyone. Thank you so much for your beautiful words. We wish everyone the best over the next week and, of course, on Saturday. I hope that we can get some continuity back, but we'll also have new faces, new views, new perspectives, and that's a great thing around this table for next term. So those who are leaving us, you've left in good stead for us to carry on the hard mahi with our staff. Thank you so much. It's been a big term, but one that we can all be very proud of what we've achieved for our communities, and that's at the heart of everything that we do. On that, I'd just like to acknowledge the passing of George Hicton, who was the chair of Hawke's Bay Tourism, who passed recently. So our aroha out to his whānau. Also aroha to those involved in the coroner's inquiry, especially those families who lost loved ones, those who are still going through recovery and the impact of the devastation. Our aroha goes out to you. So I think to close, we'll say our karakia and then do tūtira. Oh, Nick?
Just before you do that, Chair, could I just say on behalf of the organisation a huge thank you to everybody around this table for your leadership, for the courage you've shown through the most tumultuous of times. It's been at times exhausting, at times really emotional, and a huge thank you for your leadership. To those retiring councillors, wish you the very best with wherever you head, and I suspect we will see some of you in your new roles back through the building as well. To those of you who chaired committee, thank you so much, Mike and Tanya as well, for your roles. And just finally, for those who are standing, really wanted to wish you luck on Saturday. And then just finally, Chair, on behalf of the organisation, you've led us through probably the most difficult term that most people could ever expect. And just wanted to say a huge thank you to you. Oh, pick it up without dropping it. To say thank you so much for your leadership of HBRC over the 3-year period.
Thank you. Oh, those are beautiful. Thank you so much. Okay, we will close with our karakia and join in with Charlie's song. Tūtira. Me inui tātou. Kia taunga manakitanga a te mea ngaro, ki runga, ki tēnā o tātou. Kia mahia te hua mā kihiki, kia toi te kupu, toi te mana, toi te aroha, toi te reo Māori, kia tūturu, ka whakamaua, kia tīna, hui e tai ki e. Tūtira mai ngā iwi, tātou e. Tūtira mai ngā iwi, tātou e. Whai a te maramatanga, me te aroha e ngā iwi kia kapatahi, kia kotahira, tātou e, tātou e. Kia ora tātou. Kia ora, thank you everyone.